We were friends for a while. We went on a date. And on our first date, we got done, and I'm driving back to drop her off at her car. And she kicked her legs up on the dashboard. And I'm driving, then I look over, bro, and the wig is off, cuz. And I looked over and like I double taked, bro. I was like, what in the world, bro? And at that moment, I could have made a decision, like, ain't no way.
Cause I'm the man, I got the master plan, I got the cash to spend, yeah, I got the racks to band. So what you need, yeah, I got that. 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 Cause I'm the man, Who my campaign in, who my campaign in.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But bro, something in me was like, yo, she's so comfortable with you. That's good. That she can do that. Bro, like, you got it. Like, I can be myself around her because she feels comfortable enough to be herself around me.
Exactly.
And I'm like, that was huge for me. You know, at the time, it freaked me out because I was like, oh, no, I ain't never been on no date like this. The date went so great. And then the next thing I know, I can see a weed cap. But guess what, bro? She showed me, like, it was like mask off.
Yeah, man. Yeah. You know, for me, I thought that I had that person in my marriage. Yeah. You know, on a surface level, I did for a time, but now, and I'm not just saying it because she's in the room. It's incredible, bro, to be able to be with someone where you can just be comfortable being yourself, and you can laugh and you can play. And you can, you know, and then you can look into their eyes and feel love and that desire for the intimacy and all those things. And it's just a beautiful thing, man, to just be able to let yourself loose. But you know, it comes with, I always say this, man, we control the narrative. A man that understands who he is controls the narrative. He controls the energy in the room. And when you have that confidence in yourself, it just makes it so much easier. And that's what I feel like. That's the part of when a woman says, we have to feel comfortable being led. Like, that's one of the things. If we are not in the place as men to lead, a woman can feel that, especially if she's in tune. Yeah, and if she know that you're not comfortable, if she know that you're not that kind of man, she might not walk away from you right away, but she's only gonna give you so much respect. She's not gonna let her hair down for you. Mm-hmm. It's not gonna happen. You know, and we have to stop making the excuses that we make. I mean, there are reasons for things, but we have to stop to an extent. We have to stop making excuses for our lack of, you know, attention and willingness to become the right kind of man. Stop making excuses for ourselves. You know, I feel like everybody at this table knows exactly what I'm talking about because we put the work in. 100%. But we're talking to men some men who aren't there yet, who want to get there, some who don't know how, some who gonna listen to this and be like, they can't see it because I couldn't see it at first. So I understand and I empathize with those same type of men. We're here to show them that it's possible.
Yeah. Let me tell you, that segued for me in a thought about when we were single, before we were married. Did it not feel like it was a lot of work to manage relationships, dating situations with more than one woman? Did it feel like it was? Because to me, it felt like it was a lot of work.
Way too much work.
Like,
absolutely, bro. Absolutely.
It's unreal. Yeah, like, scheduling dates.
Absolutely.
To think about the fact that we would exhaust and exert our energy in so many places to be in the space of just either having fun, not being serious, just trying to have our cake and eat it too. It was like, yo, this is a lot of work. So the space in friendship, the space in relationship, it's such a beautiful space when you can actually start to focus and know that you have someone who can be there almost closer than a brother at times, right? Mm-hmm. And that's becoming a journey for two people to become one, which in a beautiful way, blissfulness, you start seeing the best part of yourself as men. So I challenge a lot of men to look at the opportunity to know, like T. Lee was saying, know who you are. Even in our faith, we are believers. We believe in God. And knowing who we are in God sets the tone for who we can then share ourselves as being with somebody else. If you can share yourself comfortably with another person in friendship, allow that to be a foundation and allow that to grow. It happened for my bros here. They're in it. One thing I've had to learn is the way that I used to go head over heels, unintended. I'm already in 10 gear by the time I see I'm romanticizing the situation. I'm already lusting for it. There's no gear to land that safely going back down, right? It's easier to start foundation-wise and build up, right? So I used to have, I'm keeping it 100. I used to have crash land. Because once all that stuff is burnt out, it's over.
It's over.
You on fumes. You 30,000 feet in the sky, and you have no gas in the tank. So it's gonna hurt this person. Hearts. One thing, hearts never break even. So somebody's gonna get hurt a certain way. That's powerful, man. So friendship, we gotta say that, men. Find that woman that you do honor, respect, love, but understand that she has to be that friend as well. Because let's keep it real. If your dick go limp, can't do nothing with that. Now sex out the way. If you ain't got nothing else to look at because y'all aging, that's out the way. What we got left?
I'm gonna tell you another one. And one of my biggest things was this. Love is a feeling. You can fall in love, you can fall out of love.
100%.
But if that friendship was there, if you fall out of love, you'll fall on your friendship.
That's good.
You know what I'm saying?
You fall out of love.
And you can build back and fall back in love because that friendship never diminished.
Let's go. Let's go.
That's
Man,
huge,
these are gems. These are gems that if you listening, they sound lame. Okay. If we all sound lame, we all blissful. The ones who obviously get it, they moving in a direction where their life is better. It's healthier, i.e., how even the spread on the table is we're thinking about what's to gain for what we're growing into versus how we had to do the dividing of time, dividing of people. That's not cool. There's nothing. The culture that we're creating is the original statement of God's intention for us to be able to know him first, be locked in with the source of who he is, then to understand work and understand vision. By the time we get ready to take care of all of that, we can look with clear lens. We can look with clear lens to see who's a great partner in a journey that's going to be forever.
I have a question. I want to play devil's advocate.
Let's go.
Because you said that love is a feeling.
Yeah.
But in order to really know what love is, we have to understand God's love first. And God's love is well beyond just a feeling. So what is the context of being in love? Because my context, when someone says they're in love, to me, in love is just a deep infatuation.
Yeah.
Because that's the reason why it can come and go.
Yeah.
Love itself does not leave.
Yeah.
Love is everlasting.
Yeah.
You know, so I guess the question I'm asking is, how do we place love in its are there multiple contexts of love in relationships? Because God's love is solid.
Yeah.
That doesn't change. And that's the foundation of it all.
Yes.
But, you know, in society, we use this thing of, oh, I love you, but I'm not in love with you anymore. So that, to me, at its most foundational value is not love.
Well, it's several different types of love. And, you know, it's funny because I was listening to something today, or someone today, and they said in certain like cultures in today's society, there are people that still get married through arranged marriage.
Absolutely.
And then the question is, those people that get married, the arrangement comes through their parents, but they ain't never met each other a day in their life.
Right.
But facts, statistics show that arranged marriages last longer than marriages that came together off of dating. And there was a woman that said, well, I trust my parents and I trust their choice for me. And I believe that we will both grow together in love.
Yes.
So there'll be a growth that happens in the process of love. But like in our, Western society and the way we do things, we naturally think, well, I got to be in love with you before I marry you.
Mhm.
These people getting married without ever even laying eyes on each other, bro.
Love is blind
True.
faith.
Man,
You know
real.
what I'm saying?
Six.
So, but during that process of them being married, right, they ain't automatically in love while they married. So during that part of their relationship, what's happening? You know what I'm saying?
Is it fair to
is-
say that love is sacrificial?
I do agree with that.
Absolutely, bro. I mean, if you read the word, treat your wife as Christ treated the church.
Yeah.
But then it goes to, okay, that sounds good. We hear it. We know that.
Right.
But then what do you ask after that? Okay, how did Christ treat the church?
That's it.
That was sacrificial.
Yeah, very.
Christ led.
Yeah.
Christ burdened for the church. Christ hurt for the church. Bled for the church.
Come on.
So is our love
Wow.
and is our relationship a foundation of that? Like, I like what you said. You said, is your foundation a friendship, which I think is beautiful, but we can almost even take it a step deeper and say, okay, even if the love, quote unquote, fairy tale stuff is gone, or even if the friendship on its wit's end, do y'all have the foundation in Christ?
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, he can obviously build up anything,
Right.
but that's the strongest foundation.
Yeah,
You know, and
absolutely.
that kind of goes back to what you were saying about, we put in the work, and you're looking at guys who put in the work. And I think you also mentioned a quick sentiment about like who she's following. If you're not putting in the work, how can you expect her to follow you?
Yeah.
And I want to follow up on that too, because I think that kind of ties into what we're talking about is around following God. Like our women, they don't submit to us because we have the best ideas. They don't submit to us because we're charismatic or because or she's attracted or whatever. Sure, those might be pieces of it.
Mhm.
But truly, if you have a spirit-led woman, she's submitting to God. You're just the vessel she's submitting through God
Yeah.
through.
Yeah.
She's submitting through God through you.
good.
You know what I'm
That's
saying?
That's good, bro.
And so at the end of the day,
Absolutely.
working on yourself, mentally, physically, how we get in the gym, like my dog is clearly, we need to get on his workout plan. You know what I'm saying? We all work on those things. But I believe, when you truly are like seeking God, I truly believe like that's the only time where a woman should be able to say, okay, that's something I can submit to, because I'm not submitting to his flesh, his ideas, his whatever.
Yeah.
He's following God. He's submitting to God, and I'm submitting to him. Okay, that's orderly.
That's the
And
protocol,
and
man.
that's biblical.
That's it.
That's
Yeah.
the protocol. But we skip it.
We do.
We skip it because
We
how
do.
many men how many of these, how many men out here really, really seeking God? And, we get it confused thinking that means an instant perfection, man. And it's just like, that messed with me for years. It's not instant perfection. It's a willingness, it's a decision, and it's a willingness to continue to reach and to learn and to connect and process, bro. That's what it is.
Oh, so you
True.
Nah, man, I'm right behind bro. Like, it's all about sacrifice. And the falling in and falling out of love, I believe if we're really rooted and grounded in the love of Christ, there's no falling out of love.
I agree.
I believe a lot of people fall out of love. First off, one of the biggest pieces is unforgiveness. So now we're not following the scripture. We're not forgiving because essentially you've done something to me that hurt me. I'm offended, and I'm going to hold on to this.
Yeah.
So because I'm going to hold on to this, I'm taking the title of love away from you. I'm no longer in love with you.
And
So go ahead, go for it.
No, I'm just thinking about one of the culprits of that is not creating a foundation of communication in the relationship.
That's what I was
Like
thinking,
pure, transparent communication from the start. So I didn't do that in my first situation.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I've been adamant about that, really generally speaking.
A lot of men are great communicators.
No,
I'm not.
My wife helped me to
Still
be a good
growing. Yep.
communicator, bro.
Yep.
I'm giving her credit on that, bro.
There we go.
1,000%. Cause me, she'd be
do.
like,
Most
bro,
of us are.
I'll be pissed.
Yep.
And she'd be like, what's
say
wrong? I'm
nothing.
like,
Nothing.
We good.
I'm good.
I'm
Yep.
straight.
There you go, that man.
Yeah,
I'm good.
I'm
I told
good.
you I'm straight.
We
My wife
straight.
keep asking, I'm good.
Yeah.
But why do we do that? Because I did that too. And I feel I have so much more peace now that when I feel something, I can say it. But
Yeah.
the empathy and sympathy behind my words is what allows me to be heard instead of the anger and the resentment and all of the negative emotions that normally come with a hard conversation. Like, you got to learn to speak in a way where people feel your sentiment.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, if you're dealing with somebody, there's always that situation. You may be dealing with somebody who just don't hear you. And sometimes you just got to stop talking. You know what I'm saying? But from an individual standpoint, we have to learn to do our part in the communication area. And then the other side of it is really on them. Like, cause we spend a lot of time worrying about other people's actions too. And all we can really control is ourselves.
And going back to what you're saying, and with the communication side of it, I don't think we were conditioned as young boys to have that safe outlet. Not all men were in the space when we were younger. We had that practice.
Right.
Women tend to nurture emotionally each other, speak vulnerably. So a lot of times I heard it profound when I was in middle school. Kind of like I used to cuss like a pirate. Just wow. You know what I'm saying? But then it's like, yo, the reason you cursing a lot is because you ain't got no vocabulary.
Right.
A lot of times if you don't have enough vocabulary, you're saying something that you think is cool and it fills it up, right? It's filler words, right? So you start realizing there's a lot of what we have as our retort, whether the aggression of the past, things that we communicate, because we didn't have the language. We didn't practice that. That wasn't something we practiced sitting around, tapped in, trying to say, you know, when you did this, you made me feel like, or when you said this, it hurt me.
Right.
We ain't practicing that as young boys.
We grew up in that house. We didn't grow up like that.
But if you did grow up in a house that was healthy and you heard it, you can mimic it,
right?
And you start seeing it work. But if you didn't grow up in that type of household, it wasn't like it was sit down, like you learn how to eat with your knife. Like to this day, there's folks who don't know how to have table etiquette,
right?
Not because they don't know how to eat food. They just ain't been taught. Like this fork is for this. This two forks here, 2 spoons. Like you looking at the table and look like a math problem, right? True. That's how a lot of us as young men, as men, now a lot of us when we were younger, we didn't have that conversation. So it sounds like a math problem. So what does it mean? We know the answer. Yeah, you got to be the bold one to raise your hand. Exactly. When nobody raises their hand, you got to be the one that's like, I don't know what you say. I got to figure this out. And a lot of men, we didn't have that kind of operation going on.
True. Absolutely.
But now that we are getting it, or now that we've gotten it, or now that we've learned it on our own, even if we had to work hard to learn it, I think it's our duty, especially as the husband type,
absolutely,
to pass it on.
That's it.
To our sons, and not just our daughters.
Yeah.
Like with my son, if something's up, he's crying, he's upset, he's angry, whatever it is that he got going on, I say, come here, son, what's wrong? What's going on? Talk to me.
Yeah.
Use your words. Tell me how you feeling.
Yeah.
Are you angry?
Yeah.
Why are you angry? Help them, like coach them through that. You know, that's important for us to do, especially as the husband type move forward.
Absolutely.
And we shouldn't let what happened to us. We shouldn't let that happen to us.
No way.
And now I don't have a son. I have a daughter, but even still, just as a parent, as a father, like you said, just to reiterate, it's when, you know, I had a conversation with her the other day because I had to get onto her, and you know, she was hurt by me getting onto her. So I said, "How you feeling? How do you feel about what I just said?" She was like, "Sometimes, you know," she was like, "when you get upset with me, you tell me what you need to say, but then she was like, but you keep going. After you tell me, you keep going." Because I teach her to speak your mind or deal with the situation, and then we let it go. And she called me out. She said, you keep going on and on about it. I had to apologize. And I apologized to let her know that you're not just a child. Yes, I am your parent. Yes, there are certain things where I make the last decision, but don't make the mistake of thinking that you are not a human being with feelings that matter, and that what you have to say means nothing because you're a kid. No, it always means something. And this is the reason why we grow up not knowing how to communicate, because our parents didn't let us talk about anything.
Shut us down so quick.
That's it.
Like, Los, you in a blended family, you have 5 kids. Like, how does that work for you when it comes down to teaching? Do you get a chance to have moments where you teach the kids? How many boys, how many girls?
Yeah, for sure. So 2 oldest, they'll be 18 in May, instead of twins.
So twin boys.
Yeah, they'll be 18.
You're talking to them on the level that we're talking.
That's it. That's it. And really trying to incorporate this atmosphere that we have here, because I didn't have it. You know, like, I'm still growing and walking through communicating.
Yeah.
And so a lot of it, just to give credit to them, a lot of it comes from them sitting down and, hey, Pops, let me walk you through this and that. My dad never did it for me, you know, and I never had these type of circles. So I'm passionate about making sure that that's a key component of their growth, their development, and then also using wisdom, the wisdom of Christ, to make sure that it has a great foundation behind it in terms of the dynamics. Hey, here's a time, and this is, you know, you're a young man, I'm gonna let you talk. Bob said what he said. Platform's on you. Let me go ahead and hear you out. And just having that order, because I think we came up to where if you're talking back, you're disrespectful. Or if you're saying something that I just got on you, then you're disrespectful.
Yeah.
And my wife, even credit to my wife, because that's how I came up. She's coached me through that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm thankful because now that I'm able to give to the younger children.
Mhm.
I have an 8-year-old and I have a 5-year-old boy. So now I'm able to, give that to them, and then they see it firsthand. They're sitting in on some of these discussions that I'm having with the 18-year-old boy. So they're seeing it from, firsthand.
Yeah.
So for me to answer your question, I mean, that's it. And, just understanding, especially having different age dynamics of how to cater to that.
Yeah.
I'm not talking to my 8-year-old the way I'm talking to the 18-year-old.
Correct.
Yeah, of course.
I have one daughter. I'm not talking to her or dealing with her the way I'm dealing with the boys.
Yeah.
Right.
So just, it takes the Holy Spirit, man. It takes, being committed. It takes sacrifice, especially, coming from the cultures that we come from. Like, dude, if I ever said a word or mumbled a word to my mom or dad, I wouldn't have these.
You know what, though? At the same time, I want to give credit to those moments.
Yeah.
To the stuff that we didn't know. Because we didn't know it, it gave us a passion to want to understand
That's it.
and to be different as parents from what it was that we got. Nothing, no shade to our parents.
Right.
Because I was sitting talking to my dad and he would tell me how grandpa didn't really explain to him when he told him not to do something.
Right.
There was no reason why. The reason why was because I'm grown and I told you.
Yeah,
I said so.
It's because I said so. You know what I'm
so.
saying? And that really is not, that's not justified. Like at the end of the day, you don't know what you don't know, but hey, that's not helping the kid.
Yeah.
It's not helping. It's more confusion than anything.
Yeah.
So
I'm glad we're talking about communication, because I agree with everything everybody's saying. Like that could the foundation of the relationship, how men talk to your woman or women and vice versa, is vital. And I love that, like, especially what you said and you said about how you're able to kind of communicate that to your children and expand them. Well, they're in your house, right? They're able to see that. They're able to touch that. They're able to feel that. And yes, there might be some guys watching who are getting bits and pieces of that.
Yeah.
But like if I'm a dude watching and let's say I'm a young adult or I'm getting into my manhood and I didn't have that exposure. Only exposure I got is this episode that I'm watching right now where I'm like, oh, dudes are really talking about how they feel. Mm. And coming back to what you said, a lot of us don't know how to, I call it like emotional language, right? Like emotional verbiage. Like a lot of times we just don't have those words to pull for that. So if I'm that dude that's sitting and saying, okay, I don't have this at the home, sure, I can go on YouTube and learn certain things, but like I want to be a better communicator for my future family, all that.
Yeah.
Where do I start? Do I start just like blabbing all my feelings to everybody? Do I start journaling? Like, what's some things that y'all maybe implemented along your process that like we can give back to that dude that's watching right now?
Ooh.
That's a good question.
So the first thing that came to my heart, listen. Because if you don't know something, man, you'll find out just by listening and being an active listener. Mm-hmm. Right? That was the first way I started paying attention. I remember the first time I seen the kid get out of trouble in middle school, 8th grade. Dude, man, I think his last name was Jackson. No, his name was Anthony. He was a good kid, but he was sneaky. He got caught. And then all I heard him say was like, yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. No, sir. Like, and I'm like, yo, so if he says sir at the end of everything, that works. And I started using that as a form of like, not saying I was doing bad stuff. I'm like, that was his own language, which showed a level of respect. And the adults acknowledged his respect. Mm-hmm. I just heard him and I just stood there and watched. And that was something that I started to adopt to my way of moving and respectfully having that type, and it worked. So imagine if I adopted yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, then how much more can I learn from seeing levels of things that work with somebody saying something or doing something? Because we got to be quick to listen, slow to speak. You know what I'm saying? That was me learning through listening.
I like the listening, and I wanted to say that I would advise one of the things to listen to concerning that is the 4 Agreements.
That's good.
That book changed my life, and it helped me. Always. What does it say? Always be
intentional,
true to your word, or it's something to that nature. I can't exactly.
What were the 4 Agreements again? Don't take things personally.
Don't
was one of them.
Mm-hmm. Be impeccable with your word.
With your word.
That's the one I'm talking
I got the
about.
other 2. But yeah.
Yes, that's the one I'm talking about though. It really resonated with me, and it made me really think about how I choose to say things and what I choose to say to people. But also like really sitting in my truth of who I am. Like, you can't be afraid to say something just because it's going to rub someone the wrong way. There's a difference in being just a complete jerk and being very insensitive to people's feelings when you need to say something to them. That should not be the thing that holds you back from speaking the truth or saying what needs to be said. You know? And so for me, that was the thing, was me practicing and being aware of my delivery in communication. Be it my demeanor, how I'm looking, how I'm saying what I'm saying, my tone of voice, and even the words I choose to say to get to my point. Because if you're attacking someone if you're attacking someone verbally and they feel that, you can pretty much bank that it's going to be a defense mechanism that's going to come up after that.
Yeah.
But when someone feels your heart in what you're saying, even a person that normally takes things very personally, this is my experience. I've had to have conversations with people that I expected for them to kind of blow up after I said what I said. But because they could feel my sincerity, and that was very intentional with me, because I got into this thing at a point where I was really big on understanding energy and how it converts and how it goes from one person to another, because it's a real thing. Like, once I realized that, I was like, oh, if my energy is solid, this conversation is going to be good, because you're going to hear what I'm saying, and you're not going to see what I'm saying through my face. Nah. You're not going to feel defense or offense from what I'm saying, because you already know that what I'm saying is, I'm coming from my heart when I'm saying this to you.
I'll be the first to say this. I'm like overly practical sometimes. So what I mean by that, and I'll kind of say what I mean. Like, I'll give you an example. I train my sales managers and sales reps to like close deals over the phone, right? Over the phone. So like, I was coaching this dude about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and he was just having some problems like during the script and not closing like where he normally was. And I'm like, okay, cool. If you follow the process, you typically get the same results. So it's probably just veering off somewhere. So I was like, pull up some of your recordings and let's go through them. He was like, well, I haven't been recording any. And so I'm like, okay, but that kind of makes me think like, okay, if you're not recording any, then that means you're not listening to yourself. If you're not listening to yourself, then how would you expect to get better in that sense? So how does that relate to this? And like I said, this is very overly practical, but this is something I used to do because communication was like, I don't know if anybody's watching like this, but like, I used to be scared to like speak. Just for words to come out of my mouth, like it would make like heart would just be jumping. Like in school, I'm in oh girl, you know what I'm saying? Way back when I was young, and we'll tell that story. But like even when I was young, like if the teacher's like, all right, Martin, you read paragraph 2, I'd be like I literally couldn't get words out of my mouth. So one thing overly practical that I used to do is I would legit, if I'm having an extended conversation or an important conversation, I'm pulling out my phone and I'm just hitting record. Just listening to myself. Like you said, have awareness for what you're saying, which is beautiful. But even to get to that point of awareness, it's like, I think you can do yourself good by just like being aware of yourself and observing yourself. So like I said, I'll record conversations, hit record, listen back to it and be like, oh wow, I kind of see why that was received like this. Like that didn't sound as good as it did in my head. Like we've all seen videos of ourselves and then we watch it back and we like, crazy. I sound like that? Like what am I doing?
Right.
And so like I said, that may not be the deepest, advice in the world, but like if you starting from literally square one, listen to yourself, listen to how you communicate and pay attention to the words that you're saying and then pay attention to like how that person is receiving them. I've done that with my wife as well, saying things and I see how she receives it and I'm like, okay, I probably will not I'll stay away from that verbiage. Let me try something else next time. Just being aware like what you said.
My version of that was talking to myself. If I know that I have to have a serious conversation with someone, I have had the conversation at the crib.
With yourself.
With myself.
Ready to go.
I heard people say that. I can never do that.
Because I'm gonna tell you what happens.
What they gonna say?
Record yourself there. Press play.
I have done this And in my conversation at home, I'm like, you can't say that, dog.
That's
But
real.
what it does is it vets your conversation. And the more you do it, the more streamlined your conversation becomes without you having to think so fast. Because it's like anything. The more you do it, the more comfortable you get with it. Before you know it, it's so second nature. It's in your psyche to say things the best way possible, the most that it's going to be received the easiest. But yeah, it's the same. It's different way, but it's the same thing.
Same concept.
Yeah, same
absolutely.
concept. Yeah.
That's funny you say that. Same for me. Same for me.
So yours is speaking. To
Yeah,
yourself. Oh,
speaking to myself, like really mapping it out.
Like
and
you'll have a conversation before the conversation.
It's like
Yeah,
a speech.
man.
Like
I do that
read
as
a
well.
speech, though.
Yeah.
If you had to say a speech in front of a Grammy, Oscar audience,
But here's the thing.
I'm like, how am I supposed to know their response?
But here's
what
the
if they
thing.
respond this way? I'm overthinking.
You out of the game already. You out the game.
The conversation that you have at home is not going to be a verbatim conversation. You're not mapping out your conversation. What you're doing is you're understanding the best ways to navigate through the conversation. So you talk through it. Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, it helps.
So in communication, I had this gonna be the last one because I'm telling you, we're gonna have more of these. This question right here though, y'all, you gotta help me formulate what was asked, because the way it was asked was, why do men cheat? But that's not the way we need to ask it. We don't condone cheating.
Absolutely not.
Was the statement we don't condone cheating? What's the statement?
The statement was, no matter. No, what did I say? The statement was,
we don't condone
we
cheating
don't
from
condone
anybody.
cheating.
Man or woman.
And then,
Man or woman.
what's the follow up after that?
Yeah,
Because
man or
we
woman.
want to communicate in the rightful way to land on this without it sounding. Because you went off. So
We did say off air. We did talk about this very, very briefly.
Yeah.
And I think somebody said, "Well, that question is interesting." And I said, "Yeah, I think whoever is asking that is probably looking at the lens, looking at men in relationships through the wrong lens." Because the exact question was like, "Why do men cheat?" That's the question.
Why do men
Why do men cheat?
Yeah.
So if you ask it like that, that's almost insinuating like there's a reason and there's things that I can do to like avoid that, which may or may not be true. But the way I look at it to kind of like get to the point is, you don't mitigate cheating through things that you do. Like especially if a woman is asking that.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, how can I keep my man from cheating? I need to do this. I need to cook. I need to be respectful. I need to have this. And, I need to make sure I'm wearing this. Like all those things are great and all, right? But I believe you mitigate the risk of cheating by the man you choose to begin with. Because cheating is not necessary. I mean, there are situations where like things happen or the flesh takes over or you have weak moments. I'm sure that has happened. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, the best way to, like I said, mitigate it is through that person that you choose. Is that a person that's saying no matter what happens, no matter how hard it gets, no matter how tough things get, this is who I'm rocking with, this is who I'm loyal to, and like that's what I'm standing on. Like men who are relationally standing on business. Like if you're doing that, the girl can be not looking attractive, ugly one day, pretty the next day, and like that's not going to be the case. Or on the flip case, you can have a dude who the woman does everything. She does everything right. Cook, whatever he wants, she's doing. And like for some reason, he's still cheating. You know what I'm saying? And that just kind of comes down to the guy that is chosen, not always the stuff that the woman is doing, in my opinion.
And the woman may not really know who she's with, because once again, it was said earlier, people show their best selves in relationships.
It's true.
And that's not always going to be seen. Like that they might be choosing somebody that they genuinely feel like, and he may be giving them everything, but he has this other thing going on that she don't know nothing about. You see what I'm saying? So it's just like,
or even this, if we made it more practical, right? If a man cheats, period, he may just be a cheater in all aspects of his life. He may shortchange himself and then look at what he's in as another option to do the same thing he's always done. Because if you're a winner and you really locked in, you got discipline, work ethic.
Right.
Like, you wouldn't cheat yourself out of a championship. You work towards it. You know what I'm saying? Like, anything you start to really align yourself with that type of mentality, that value system, that discipline, I wouldn't want to cheat in the game I play. I wouldn't want to cheat in this position of being able to be looked at as a leader. So why wouldn't that translate? So a lot
Into
of
the
times it's
relationship.
insecurity. The man is insecure himself. You really, you know what? You are a cheater. You're 100% a cheater. You're not just a cheater in a relationship. You're a cheater in life. You know what I'm saying? Because you would take shortcuts. My dad used to say, like, yeah, man, God rest his soul, love pop. Shortcuts draw blood. And I used to be like, when I was young, shortcuts draw blood. Now it's double entendre because shortcuts, slicing of the wrist, a lot of blood.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But then there was one time I went from walking, we used to walk home back in the day. Back in my day, we used to walk sometimes. You know what I'm saying? It's foreign now. Because everybody driving foreign cars. See what I did there?
Another double entendre.
Yeah, we just had double entendre. Now, but real talk, I remember I didn't want to walk the long way. So I jumped. There was an abandoned house. And there was a huge wall that went from the highway in Miami. Crossed the highway, jumped the wall. Jumped the wall. The same abandoned house that's always been abandoned has some dudes in the house. I don't know if they was using it for some purposes of drugs, but they saw me jump over the wall, and my other homeboys made it. They went through first. I hesitated. They saw me. They said, "Hey, what you doing jumping back here? I'm gonna give you 10 seconds to get back over that wall." Bro, I was so nervous because I swore I was about to get like just mollywop, right? So I looked. He said 1. I ran, jumped, and as soon as he got to 3, he threw a rock, yo. And that joint just right over my head. And the truth of the matter was that could have been an example of what Potts told me about. Just something as small as that. Shortcuts draw blood. So imagine in life, you a person who knows how to get what you want, but you're not a stand-up guy. So you cheating in this space with a woman, then it didn't start there.
True. It definitely didn't.
Yeah.
Started elsewhere.
That's just,
So
that's a result of what's already been going on.
That's already a result.
Yeah,
so the truth of the matter is now, when we look at who we are, if we're not cheating, then there's no reason to cheat. If you do have an issue, what we spoke on is communication.
Yes.
What we spoke on is how to have that level of language and articulation. So truth be told, that was, y'all touched on it, killed it. I just thought about that. I'm like, yo, any man that cheats really is insecure.
And now what if it's a dude asking kind of the same question, not about women, but a dude, in the world doing his thing, and he's like, man, I want to settle down, but I'm used to doing all this stuff. Like, how do I not cheat? Like, I don't want to be that. So how do I not do that? Because I've heard that a lot, and that's why I bring it up.
How do I not cheat? So for me, I would tell you the truth of the matter. For me, I'll say personally what happened to me. I knew for a fact that I wasn't being, it sounds simple, but I'm not being honest to myself, yo. Like, there's a reason why I'm going to do something. If that reason is as simple as I'm going to be in a relationship, then I'm looking at myself saying, Pete, would you be wasting your time and that person's time being in a relationship? Now, the commitment to something is what you're doing. Now, if you cheat, that means you're not committed. So it's fair to say that if you're going to step into something, there's a commitment that you're willing to take on, and there's a responsibility that comes with that commitment. So the best way to not cheat is to not be committed to anything. But if you want to be committed, know that you're telling yourself that you have this ability to be focused on what you say you want.
True.
Don't go for a woman. We're not going for a woman to say, I'm going to go for her and cheat on her. Nah, the whole goal is I'm going to go for her and whatever it takes, I'm going to honor my commitment.
Absolutely.
That's because if you honor your commitment, you honor yourself. You honor yourself, then naturally the reciprocity of what you'll see, the response of what you will see, will make you want to do. When you win a championship, you're not trying to take an L. Like, think about it. These dudes get paid, people get paid millions of dollars to compete. Bro, they play for years, and all they're trying to do is win a championship. They already got the money. The contract was given to them. They got the contract.
They had it.
The drive is not from the money.
No.
They just want to win so they can walk away saying, I know what it feels like to actually be committed to something, see it through, and be called a champion. Because other than that, you take the check, you on injury list, you retire. Because your guarantee could have been 50-something.
And you chilling.
You chilling.
Yeah.
But you can't look at yourself in the mirror and say that 50-something million represented your character.
Absolutely.
And your work,
That's true, and your work. There's something I would even add to either the question or the answer. and this is not going to be popular.
Let's do it.
This is not a popular opinion. You need to get right. Oh yeah. This what I was saying is this is not a popular opinion. But I think it's very, very true, and that's like especially if you want to be like you looking at certain people around, you watching this, you seeing these fellas, you're like, man, that's something I want to be. I would love to be in a committed, faithful relationship. I would say, don't wait until you find a woman or the wife to be like sexually pure. And what do I mean by that? Abstinence is, we know what it means, but like very, very, very few people are actually doing that. Why? Because it is difficult.
Sure.
It is difficult, especially when voluntarily abstinence. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Not like
Right.
you can't make it happen.
Mhm.
It's like, no. I'm intentionally trying to honor myself, honor God, and honor this woman by not taking it there. And that's why I say it's not popular, but I would say to like strengthen that muscle, practice abstinence.
Mhm.
And that was honestly and I've had different relationships, whatever the case may be. In my marriage that I'm in now, this is the first relationship ever that I like tried to honor and follow God's principles all the way through.
Mhm.
What was the result?
All the way through. And I believe like now, let's be real, we have incredible sex. Like we you know what I'm saying? And it's real. And like, you know, we love it. But I think like what it does is it kind of like puts sex in the place that God meant it to be.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Like we can like respect it, we can honor it. It's not something that we just look at it like, yeah, whatever. Like let's just
Mhm.
Because before when we didn't have it, we like, yo, we need to speed this engagement up. Like, yo, I ain't finna wait no year. And so it's like, and you know what I'm saying? So it just does certain things. And I just say that, like I say, I know it's not a popular opinion per se, but like, yo, whenever you can practice that sexual abstinence, you know what I'm saying? You're building that muscle to not only just not cheat. It's not about not cheating, but like you're just building that to have something even more special with your future bride for any man watching, or vice versa with the woman. And I think that God honors that tenfold long
He
term.
does. He does.
I think it boils down to what you want, man. What do you want for yourself? Who do you want to be?
True.
You know, how far are you willing to commit yourself to whatever it is that, you know, whatever it is that you say that you want?
Mhm.
If you're not willing to commit to it, the bottom line of that is you don't want it bad enough.
True.
Like take all the extra stuff out of it.
Right.
You don't want it bad enough. That's the bottom line.
Los, finish it out.
Man, that's good stuff, man. Just I guess to bring it all to a T. I also had the same period in my life, and I believe for me during that period where it was just like I wasn't dealing with females, I wasn't having any sexual activity. It allowed me to like really find myself. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And then in those times of vacancy, I'm in prayer, I'm in the Word, like I'm in communion with the Lord, and the combination of that, and then also self-healing. Like I come from an environment, man, like growing up on both sides of my family, all I seen was players, hustlers, and stuff like that. So me being a man was messing around with all the women, having all the girls, and that was just what I conditioned my body to do. You know, so that period of time allowed me to kind of like cleanse myself from that, in addition to like really see my self-worth and then the worth of a woman. And then when you keep that and you bow it all together, now you have that, which you're referring to, which you and your wife, you have something that's not common. And now you take it, you look at it as something to be prestige. Like I'm not just commonly, having sex with my wife because I have sex all the time. Like, yo, this is my wife. Like what we got here is can't nobody break this up. This is between her and I versus me being common or her being common and having different exchanges sexually with other people. So just to answer the question, man, I think a lot of guys, man, insecurity and then self-healing. You know, for me, that was me, man. Like I didn't know, I wouldn't say it, but I'm like, yo, I was insecure.
'Cause I'm the man, I got the master plan.